What's up, Metal Summoners? It is always so great to see you guys. We appreciate you guys so much. You tune in every week. You guys rock out. Great fan questions, great interactions with our guests. And myself and Angel can always and never not be so impressed with you guys and show so much love back to you guys. As always, this is your Island of Misfit Toys. We are live and rocking out in the middle of the week, kicking off your weekend right on Wednesday, the way that we love to do it. So sit back, grab a glass, have some fun with us, because this is going to be a really, really cool episode. I'm very excited. As you guys all know, this particular style is very much up my alley, and also a lot of love to my man Angel for always being down for the cause when I've got a little something on my mind, on my brain for conducting a little bit of fun. So we're gonna get a little vampy tonight. We're gonna go into some caves. We're gonna flutter around, and we're gonna bring in our guests of honor right now. From Salem, Massachusetts, owners of Vampfangs, Velvet and Veins in Salem, we've got Ben and Lex. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for joining us, giving us some time in your evening, and please, absolutely, welcome to the Metal Summit.
Thanks for having us.
Let's have some fun.
Let's do it. First and foremost, I love that chair. If you saw on the intro, that's where my intro photo came from, was right in your store.
This chair is epic. We've had it since we opened. When we were doing the construction, opening the store, the chair was one of the first things that we brought in. And I think I fell asleep in this chair so many nights at like 3 a.m, just like dead exhausted. So this chair is near and dear to my heart, and it will never go away. I love it.
It's epic.
Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. Well, also before we get into specifically, of course, Vampfangs history and all that good stuff, congratulations are in order, because you're back across the country from what appears to be another very successful Endless Nights, this one in Los Angeles.
So unfortunately, we were not in Los Angeles. We didn't.
Oh no!
I know. This one was tough. We usually go to every single one, of course, but this one we actually missed, which blew. But the event was amazing. I was on the phone with them almost the entire weekend, and everything went really, really well. So
awesome. We will be out there next year, though.
Yes, for sure.
That venue, the Mayan, looks amazing.
Yeah,
so cool.
I do a lot of the tech and LED stuff, and it's difficult not being at the venue when I'm doing kind of the artwork for everything. So it's really hard not being there. So it was tough, but we will definitely be there next year.
We got lots of fun coming up, though.
Yes.
What was that one, Ben?
We got lots of fun coming up. Lots of events coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, absolutely, and we're definitely going to get into that for sure. Absolutely, and and you and I, with the three of us, we spoke in person not that long ago when myself and Megan were at in Salem and visiting you guys at Vampfangs and Velvet and Vein, where you would because when it comes to those Endless Nights events, you also do have your your core group, the people that work with you tirelessly, regularly as well. So I can imagine that there is probably a little bit of understanding and relief while there's still going to be stresses in an event that you guys aren't present at. I can imagine that you're of course very confident with your long-standing team that you've built around you.
So the Endless Night team is just amazing. It's a machine.
Yes.
It's like clockwork at this point.
The nice thing, we don't, while we work with the other events, we don't directly produce them. So it's a lot less on our shoulders that we have to bear. But it's good.
Everything here in New England. So the New England territory, we directly produce everything here in New England. And then we will guest host, and we're a big part of the team in production in the other cities. So, LA, Vegas, Tampa, New Orleans. But New England here is our home base. So everything right here is our team directly.
Yeah. The next large scale vampire ball is in Vegas, and we're really looking forward to that going out there. So that's in May.
Early May.
Yes. So if you guys are in the area or thinking of traveling to Vegas, go, because it's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely. Well, Megan's never been to Vegas. I've been to Vegas a few times in just different musical ventures that I've done and stuff like that. In fact, there it is. Boom. Thank you.
Yes, actually, the first Endless Night that Ben and I ever journeyed to was in Vegas. It was at the Artisan Hotel a few years ago, and it was such an amazing experience. And
that was 2018, I think.
Yeah,
it was just a little while ago. It was almost 6 years ago.
Oh
6
my
years
God.
ago at this point.
But it was such an epic weekend, and I'm really excited that they're bringing the full scale ball back to Vegas, and it's going to be such an amazing time. I can't wait.
Absolutely. I got one of my endless night guys going
Yay!
on for this conversation as well.
Oh,
Well,
But
it's a vintage.
It is
Yes,
a vintage one. What is that? Which one is that one from?
this one's New Orleans, House of Blues 2018.
Okay.
Mhm.
The what's A Night in the Court of Dracula.
Yeah.
So I don't think we were at that event for a while. Ben and I were afraid to leave because the New Orleans event is always Halloween weekend.
Yep.
And for a
Right.
very long time, Ben and I were so afraid to leave Salem because if you've ever been to Salem and Halloween, it's a zoo.
Yes.
So for many years, we just would not leave in October, but we finally started going down a few years ago. And now every year we go and I get off the plane and I'm like, why did we ever not do this? It's so relaxing down there compared to here. It's so nice. It's awesome.
I tell people all the time when they kind of ask me about like Salem and like doing the Halloween thing and like what to do, what not to do, like how to handle it, how not to handle it. I'm like, look, here's the reality of it. Hammond Castle, we're definitely going to get to that.
Yes,
I was
for sure.
like, is the fact that it's like, okay, look, if you're into Halloween, you got to do it at some point.
At least once.
At least
exactly. At least just once. It means so much more to us as a community with just all the various histories, of course, you know, of the witch trials and hocus pocus and all that kind of stuff. So like you got to do it at least once. Now, the overall month is very dedicated to that, but I'm always very strict on my policies of letting people know, like, pick your Halloween to do it and lock it in. They're not dumb up there. They understand the appeal, the interest, and the fact it's going to get crazy. It's a Halloween. It's like the ball dropping in like New York, but for Halloween.
Yeah.
But I also like to suggest as well where I'm like, hey, if you like things to kind of be open and you're kind of playing a bit of the weather game, I found the double A's work well of April and August, as well as also letting them know. But look, keep in mind, it is a tourist attraction town. It's great all week, but of course, towards the weekend, people don't have work. They're taking off work. They're going to enjoy themselves on the weekend, and it will attract crowds. So if you're not the world's biggest fan of elbows to elbows with people, you know, that kind of Tuesday to Thursday is kind of a good idea to shoot for, because once you get to Thursday to Sunday, then you might as well have gone on Halloween. And so definitely a fun.
It's earlier every year, every single year that we've been here. It keeps getting earlier and earlier. And the month of, I think we're now either mid-September or early September, we have somebody. So we do get a line at both of our stores, and we do have somebody working the door. So I think we're early September now, having somebody working our doors, just because of the lines and it's getting so busy. And even during the week in October, we still have somebody working the doors. But it's definitely, like you said, so much less people during the week than on the weekends. Good
advice for the weekdays, though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Come out even. And one thing we actually noticed is even in the heart of October, that we were seeing more and more crowds even on the weekdays. And we talked to some of the hotels and restaurants. We're in tune with all the local businesses here, and restaurants, same thing. They saw the weekdays picking up, and then we talked to the hotels and they said, well, it's because the weekends are all sold out, but we still have rooms available Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So people are just planning last minute trips, and that's all they can get for lodging. So then as a result, all the restaurants boom, shops boom. So that's kind of what we're seeing even now in October. Definitely lighter traffic, but still weekdays picking up.
Absolutely, for sure. So before I kick it over to Angel, let's bring it back to, of course, your store. You know, let's talk a little bit about Vampfangs specifically. What was your vision behind it, your thought process of doing this store, doing it in Salem? I've also always told a lot of people that when it comes to Salem, Essex Street is kind of our equivalent to Bourbon Street. Not so much the drinking part of it, but just that's that stretch of where you've got shops, stores, eateries, great things, and fantastic gems like Vampfangs. Because like I said, I really do love what you guys do, and I love your store. So talk a little bit about how that became a thing.
So we purchased Vampfangs. It's been around since 1993, the business itself, and it's been an e-com business for a really long time. So we purchased in.
Oh wait, well hold on, pause, time out.
Sorry.
So the original owner, who the founder started it with 93, he used to custom fit fangs out here on the pedestrian walkway right here in Salem. So the business Vampfangs started in Salem. It just didn't have a, quote, brick and mortar location. We came to find out many years later, actually, that the previous owner actually had custom fit each of our first pair of fangs
when we were like kids.
When we were like kids, like we came here and we had no idea until obviously many years later when we met Scott. But yeah,
I was like, wait a minute, I think you gave me my first pair of fangs when I was like 11 years old in Salem. So we had purchased the company from him, and Ben and I used to produce haunted houses and haunted attractions on farms. So that's how we kind of met. And we had an office, a tiny little office in an office building in Beverly, which is one town over from Salem. The previous owner, Vampfangs, also had an office in there. He messaged us a little after we moved in, and he said, "Hey, we're the only two spooky people in this huge corporate building. We should probably get drinks." So we met him and hung out. And I think it was after about a year, he said, I really like you guys, buy my business. And we were like, what the hell does that mean? We don't even know what that means. So after kind of talking with him a little bit more, we realized that it was Vampfangs had a cult following and it had been around a long time. And we both kind of left our corporate jobs and jumped in Fangs first and bought Vampfangs. So after purchasing Vampfangs and kind of getting our feet wet and working on the e-com side, we knew we wanted a store. We knew we wanted it to be in Salem. We knew that it had to be in the perfect location or it just didn't make sense. So if you know Salem at all, Essex Street, where our stores are on, is the most traveled street in the whole city. And going a little bit further out or anywhere in any direction off of this is not where we wanted to be. So it needed to be the right situation. And I'll let you
so it was
tell about our fate with this one.
So it was almost a year to the day. So when we signed the contract to purchase Vampfangs, it was July of 2017.
Oh my God, it really was like a year.
Yeah, it was almost identical, a year to the day. And so, fast forward a year later, 2018, and it was Friday the 13th was actually when we officially signed the lease here. But the space came available. 4 lease sign went up in the window. I saw it, immediately shot a message to Lex. And we thought it would take several years before we kind of found the right space. And, we kind of went back and forth and made the call almost right, almost immediately to the agent. And the agent said something to the effect of, I'm sorry, we already have somebody that we're moving forward with. So I reconnected with Lex and it.
I think I stayed up at that point. I said, we need this space. I'm not accepting no as an option. This is where we're meant to be. I think I stayed up for 3 or 4 hours that night. It was super late, building like this huge pitch deck to give to the landlord, and I was just like, "This we
basically show him why we need to be
here." And
but when I called the agent back, I basically, even this was after she had told us that the space was pretty much essentially leased at that point. They'd already decided who they were going with, and it was someone else. It was someone that already had a presence in town. She never told us who it was. We have a couple suspicions, but she never told us who it was. And so it basically just said to her, would the landlord entertain an above market offer? And she said, yes, he absolutely would. So that's when Lex went to work and put together that pitch deck essentially. And so we met with him. It was like a day or two later.
Yeah. And
walked through the space and made the deal on the spot. And we were in here for 3 years. We just signed a 3-year lease initially. And we're coming up towards the end of the lease. Landlord decided that he wasn't going to renew the lease because he wanted to sell the unit. Him and his wife were retiring. And so that gave us the kind of unique opportunity to purchase the space that we're in. So that's when we kind of made that move.
Quickly.
And very quickly, too. It kind of sprung on us.
He gave us like 2 weeks.
Yeah. He's like, hey, we're going to sell it. So.
And we were like, okay, we're not planning on buying commercial real estate because we're,
but here we are.
Two average hot kids trying to make it through. And, we made it work. And we're thrilled that we own the space that we're in. It's, owning commercial real estate is probably one of the coolest things that we've done to date. And now we also, with Velvet and Vein, 2 doors down, we own that unit as well. So we own 2 commercial spaces in town, which is crazy. So no one's ever kicking us out of our.
It's rare. It's rare for a business in town to own the space that they're in.
Yeah.
Most people obviously beholden to a lease, and you don't know kind of the future's gonna hold for you. But
yeah,
hopefully we'll be here, knock on wood, centuries to come.
I know.
Vampfangs isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
That would rock. That's I can only hope and root for you guys when it comes to that. Absolutely. And so one more brief thing before I officially do kick it over to Angel to let him have of course some time as well. So my initial experiences in Vampfangs, which go back a few years, where it was just Vampfangs before Velvet was a thing. You of course had the clothing, the stuff you do with like Dark Alchemy, as well as candles, fragrances, all lingerie, all that kind of great stuff. But you also, of course, did jewelry. You had all kinds of great stuff. A case that was like more in the middle of the shop. And then with Velvet and Vein, which correct me, of course, if I'm wrong, but appears to be much heavily more dedicated to high-end jewelry.
Yeah.
What was it about? What birthed Velvet and Vein? Did you guys? I can imagine, as any business owners, expansion is always going to be there, and if the right opportunities present themselves, of course, you own that shop as well, literally. And but what was it about dedicating a space specifically to jewelry, where now you've got Vampfangs that's a little bit more in that like clothing, fragrances type of vibe?
So I think we had jewelry in Vampfangs right from the very beginning, just like you had said, Jay, and it kind of moved around in the shop a little bit from place to place, but we were always very limited on the amount of jewelry we could have. We were very limited by the space. But it was one of our most requested categories. People always wanted to see more variety. What else do you got there? But we were always so limited. And so when that space came available 2 doors down, it was, for me, it was a no-brainer. I know it was the minute that Lex and I connected on it, it was like both of our heads went right to the same place, jewelry, hands down jewelry.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, not only was it popular in shop and obviously a big category for us here in Vampfangs, but I think that it was a definite hole kind of in this town, and a definite need and want for a lot of people for something unique when it comes to the jewelry side. There's other places you can go and you may see more run-of-the-mill stuff, but people wanted someplace they could walk into and be like, well, I'm not going to see that thing anywhere else. That thing is so unique, so different, handmade, different artists from all around the world. And we were just pumped to be able to bring that here.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
And also branch it out of Vampfangs too, because it kind of stopped us from bringing. Vampfangs has just turned into such a different brand, and being able to pull a really high-end jewelry piece next door at Velvet and Vein, we wouldn't have been able to do that here, just because of the vibe here is just so different. So it's nice to kind of have those 2 pieces that we can play with.
Well, the vibe in Vampfangs definitely is a little. It is still kind of a higher end
for
boutique,
sure,
right?
For sure.
But I think what Lex is kind of touching on is that it's hard to. Because of the variety of things that we will pull into Vampfangs, especially in the on season, right?
Yeah.
We'll bring in things that maybe are a little more kitschy than you may see other times of the year, or that kind of thing, right? So, it's hard to put a $2,000 ring next to a $25 plush toy, right? It's just it presents some unique challenges when you're trying to, like when you're trying to push both of those items in one space, and so it gave us the opportunity as well to. Kind of bring in more variety in Vampfangs too. So I think it actually helped both brands.
Yeah, I think it's helped us. Dark Alchemy, you had mentioned, is our house brand, and we started Dark Alchemy right when we purchased Vampfangs to kind of try and do some new products without kind of affecting the Vampfangs brand and still seeing how it did. And it turned out that Dark Alchemy became this amazing awesome company that just is not ever going anywhere either. So
it's our candles, our teas, our
everything.
fragrance, apparel.
Yeah. So it's been kind of a blessing with that too. So.
Oh, for sure. I'm kind of the small one, but this was one of my Christmas gifts to Megan.
Oh, awesome.
Is the two bat wings that form a heart, because it's like a friendship bracelet. Thanks, Angel.
I think I remember when you bought that.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine when the Jay Oakley message pops up on whatever the message pops up, because I also recently got her, which you might remember, is a couple weeks ago, because it's right on the table, I just can't reach it, is I wanted Megan to have her own, like, I really wanted her to have her own like Ankh, because I've got Father Sebastian was very, very gracious in allowing me to purchase a first generation after his interview. Just being a fan of his work, I have his books on my shelf are literally this wide. Like, I think there's only 2 at the moment that I am aware of that I don't have, and I will find a way. But anyway, he's fantastic, and he's fantastic, and he allowed me to get one of those first generations. But I have a few different variations of the Sabretooth, like the one I'm wearing, and I've also got a Dark Alchemy one that I bought from the very first time that I ever went to Vampfangs. And it was funny because it was on a mannequin, and it's the only one I saw in the shop. The only other ones I saw were like the very small, like Ankhs, the minis. And I thought it was a display, and I casually said to your hostess at the time, I was like, "Do you have any more of that one in that size, or do I have to talk you into letting me buy it off the mannequin?" And she's like, "Well, I actually don't. You actually don't need to talk me into it at all. Like, the mannequin one is for sale." I'm like, "I'll take it." And it was super duper cool. But I think
that's how we display stuff in here. We try to keep like 1 or 2 items out. We don't really like to overfill anything, because we want people to be able to see the product instead of kind of just jamming things as tight as we can in here. So what you're saying is not uncommon. A lot of times people are like, "Is this decor? Can I buy this?" And we're like, "You can totally buy it." But sometimes it is decor, so you just kind of do need to ask. But
yeah, when I was trying to relieve you like 2 years ago, one of my visits, I was trying to relieve some of the Vampfangs skulls that are on your wall, Lex, right to your right.
Everybody wants to buy those.
I know.
Everybody comes in. So those are they're custom made for us, and I actually hand dremeled all of the fangs onto the skulls. And same with all of the other skulls that are in the shop. I don't know if you've ever noticed them, but they're like full. So the ones that are on the wall are like half skulls.
Yep.
And then the full skulls that are in here, I corpsed myself with plastic and hand painted all of them. But all the fangs I've put on all myself as well. So
we have been trying to get these flatback skulls that are on the wall, the fang skulls. We have been trying to duplicate them and actually get them to a kind of for sale product for several years.
We have not found an artist that can do it the way that
they're a little difficult. They're a little difficult to do, and we just haven't nailed it. We just haven't got it quite right, but we will eventually.
It will happen.
And there'll probably be several varieties. We'll probably mount them on a plaque. There'll be some kind of tag under them. They'll be definitely at some point in the future, but not quite yet.
No, absolutely. Definitely, when that definitely happens, if I'm sure there'll be a post about it, but either way, like, call me, let me know.
We'll just send you, and when we do it, like, we'll get you on, we'll send it to you.
Love you guys. You guys are awesome. But I know exactly what you're talking about, the flatbacks with the full skulls, because also in that intro video that Angel played, I'm holding one of your your fangs, because for that picture, I took it out of your planter.
Yep.
And I put it back, and no, so it's very, very cool, and I've always absolutely loved those. But Angel, I appreciate you so much, my friend. It is all you.
And I just want to say, thank you for your time, and congratulations on selling out the next event on May 23rd.
Thank you.
So you got a wait list. So just, for people that are just curious if they would get lucky, how does that work?
So
It's possible.
it is possible. We take the wait list if anything does open up. This is the only event that if somebody is unable to attend, we always have a wait list for. I think the wait list last year it's like over 300 people on the wait list last year.
Yeah.
So we do take whoever's first in line. So if that person is unable to attend, we go to the next person. So if you really want to come to the event, which it's awesome, and I encourage you to come to the event, get on that wait list because that's the only way to come from this point out. But going forward, whenever Ben and I say low ticket warning, we mean low ticket warning. We'll never pull that trigger unless it's legit. So.
Yeah, because that was posted like 4 days before it sold out, the low ticket warning. And then 4 days later, sold out. So just wanted to say, so that's awesome. Just say congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next event coming up is the Noir Blanc event, and that is March 22nd. And that one, the VIV, the Very Important Vampire tickets are sold out for that. But there is general admission tickets left. And if you've ever wanted to come to one of our events, that is a great kind of intro event.
And it's one of the events that vampires can wear white.
Yes. So it's a black and white event, which is when we announced the first one that we did a couple years ago. We announced it at one of the balls on stage, and the crowd was so mixed because they didn't know how to feel about it because we wear a lot of black in this area. So saying that we're having an event that you can wear white too, people were like, "What in the hell? That's going to be so weird." But
it was gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
People nailed it.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite events that we do, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be really fun. And it's at Ames Hall, which is really cool, which is right down the street. So it's on Essex Street, and it's this really gorgeous old theater. So it's going to be really pretty. It's
a new venue for us. It's the
is.
First time we've activated that space.
Yep.
So anytime we get to activate a new space, we're always super excited about it. So looking at it from the outside, you wouldn't think much of it.
Nope.
But as soon as you walk through the archway and you come in those stairs, it's like
this gorgeous
marble staircase, wrought iron railings, like it's just gorgeous.
It's like gold gilded everywhere. Like it's stunning.
Pumped.
Is it okay to talk about the one on September 20th?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the day after my birthday, Jay.
Yay.
Angel, dude, you need to trust me on these things. Like these things are wild. My first official event will be Hammond Castle, but just as an enthusiast and just being familiar with what is Endless Night, I'm very, I feel pretty educated on what it is. And Angel, man, I think you'll have a good time, brother.
Explain this event.
New friends.
But this one is definitely this one's probably gonna sell out pretty fast because it's the month before Halloween. So,
well, not only is the timing going to be a big driver for selling this event out, but the venue for this is Old Town Hall. So it's in a historic venue, right in the center of town, and the capacity in that venue, 150. So it is. Wow. Considerably smaller than the kind of large scale balls that we've been doing for the past 4 years. So we've been partying at the Hawthorne for the last 4 years since we started the Endless Night here in Salem. And just to give you an idea, the large scale balls that we've done, 800 people is a sellout over there. And we are able to provide kind of multiple different levels of ticketing. So there's a general admission ticket, there's a VIV ticket, diamond ticket, all these other things like at the large scale ball. With the move to the Old Town Hall venue and only being 150 people, we are basically taking what was the premium ticket, the elevated ticket, which gave you all the food, the open bar, all these other amenities and the over-the-top luxury experience. And that's kind of what this Grand Salon is going to be. So smaller, more exclusive in number, but still over the top as far as luxury and and kind of bougie vampire event because we don't really know how to do anything differently.
No,
Right.
we don't.
Yeah.
No, but this year too, with being at Old Town Hall, Ben mentioned the capacity being 150 upstairs. The downstairs at Old Town Hall would also have another. Was it 150 downstairs? Yeah. So instead of trying to get 150 upstairs because the floor it's a historic building and it just can't hold more than 150 people. So we would have to like have somebody down there with a clicker and like making sure only 150 people were upstairs.
Would have been weird.
Would have been super weird. So instead of doing that, we're doing the Grand Salon upstairs, and then on the first floor, we're going to be doing a vampire market. So that'll be the first vampire market that I think it's going to be in Salem, to my knowledge, ever. So that's going to be awesome. And the original vampire ball that happened in the 90s when I was a kid and too young to go because I wasn't allowed to go to such fun things when I was a child because illegal, was at Old Town Hall. So this was not an Endless Night event. It was a vampire community that was in Salem in the 90s. And it was an epic thing. And I'm glad that we're able to bring that back to the same location. It's kind of the draw. That's really the reason why on our 5th year we wanted to do something kind of special in town to commemorate.
Always mixing it up, always looking to create new experiences and activate new spaces. That was one that we've been trying to activate Old Town Hall for a while. And we've done some rituals there before, but we've never activated it for any kind of other event. So we're super excited for this opportunity. And
we're not going to tell you because we're jerks, but in 2026, we have some very exciting news that we're going to be announcing probably that night. If we can wait that long, then.
So sometimes I do this.
You're not going to do this now. I'm not letting you. No. Not happening.
Little bit of details.
I was like, Angel, this is, I think, a first for us. Like, we've been fortunate to have some TMS exclusives, but I think this is the first time that we've ever had half the guest saying no and half the guest really wanted to say yes. So this is a lot of fun.
Ben does this to me all the time. We'll go on podcasts and go on shows and we'll be interviewed and he'll be like, I've got this exciting news that I'm going to share. And I'm like, the hell you do? No, you cannot do this right now. So I'll give you a little tidbit. So in 2026, we have something incredibly epic and large planned. And
it's a vampire ball.
Yes.
Yeah. So like the large scale vampire ball is coming back.
Yeah.
It just may look a little bit different.
You're done.
I was waiting for that. I was like, I love that. I was like, because Lex, when you started, talking a little bit about it, I was like, I love how Lex is saying this because obviously she's like, I can stop myself from saying anything. And then Ben was like, well, but this is what it is. And you're like, stop. No, I totally get it because
it's gonna be epic and huge, and we're super excited about it. We can't wait to share what it is.
I can appreciate it because literally my own Mrs. Vamp right here does the same thing to me regularly because she's like, babe, you can talk.
It's can we announce it when the Grand Salon sells out?
Yes, when the Grand Salon sells out, and it definitely will in September. So we'll announce it then. So we won't make everybody wait until September for that news. But
okay, all right.
Is that okay? Does that give you enough wiggle?
No, not really.
I
want to tell them now.
I know you do.
Guys, I tried.
I know you.
I tried.
No, but we're super jazzed. So, but anyways, March is going to be amazing.
It'll be a ball. But they're only letting the Fangs know like so much right now, but they got a really bitchin' event that they're looking forward to announcing for 2026.
I'm excited for it.
Well, there we go. 2 tickets sold.
Done.
Absolutely, for sure. Right back to you, Angel.
Well, hey, that's enough time to save your money. So what they're saying is save your money for 2026. So when you get your tax refund, put it away for 2026.
Perfect.
So that gives you ample time to prepare for travel and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Probably.
Oh, and that's Motley saying he's saving his money too.
Yeah, that's actually Nyx. Actually, she's just really, really dialed in. Apparently,
the cutest thing ever.
Oh, she's like, 2026. I want to go.
Well, if anybody's familiar with Salem that's watching this show right now, there is a gentleman very well known to Salem that has his cat just rocking and rolling with him all the time up and down Essex.
He's a friend of ours, so he is at our shop often. Almost every single weekend we see him, which is great. His cat Lucifer. So his name is Lane. He's amazing.
I would.
He's a really good friend of ours, and we love him so much. If you're watching, Lane, we love you. So if you guys are in town and you see him, he's always got Lucifer with him. He also takes donations that he donates to an animal shelter, which is really amazing to take photos with Lucifer. So
Awesome.
this kitty, he's amazing. He sleeps on this chair all the time.
Yeah, he does.
Our staff sends us pictures of just Lucifer napping on the chair. It makes me so happy.
That's awesome.
He's become a fixture around these parts.
He definitely is.
And Brian. Oh, I think we took care of that question from Brian. Is there anything you'd like to confess? Yeah, 2026.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the closest confession that will be allowed at the moment.
And we got DK watching. Thanks for watching, brother.
DK from Kickin' Valentina. Thank you so much, my friend. We love you.
Okay, music-wise, you get to host the first Salem Fest. Who's your lineup?
Oh man. Oh gosh. That is so hard. So we had the Crew Shadows out. They were here last year,
Yep.
right? They were, I don't know if any of you were at our ball, but they were they put on such an epic and amazing performance. We love the Crew Shadows so much. I'm also friends with Johanna, which I didn't really know that Johanna was in a band when I first met her, because I had met her before, like right when 2020 started. So they weren't touring or doing anything. So Johanna and I just became close friends, and she was like, yeah, I'm in a band. I'm like, that's cool. And didn't think anything of it. And then, and then a couple of years later, she performed at one of the Endless Nights. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, this is you. This is so crazy. So for sure, Crew Shadows would be out here. Is there a band that you would bring out?
69.
I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I just gotta say, like shit I grew up on.
Go on.
I mean, I'm so like.
I mean, we're vampires.
How do I
We're
say
like,
this?
you know.
Yeah. I mean, Megan and I are synced up. We looked at each other and we said 69 eyes without blinking an eyelash.
I mean, maybe I'll get heat for this. I'm just like, call me basic bitch, but I mean, I got a soft spot for zombie. You know?
Totally.
Yes, I would love that actually.
No, that would super duper be rad.
And I love Sherry Moon, and I think the two of them are like the coolest couple in the whole wide world. So, and we saw Rob Zombie a few years ago, and he is like a little ninja of a man on stage. Like he must just do like yoga constantly. Like he's so limber and like bendy. I'm very proud of him.
I want to be moving like him when I'm his
Seriously,
age.
I don't know how old he is, but he's pretty awesome.
I think he's
For sure.
60 now.
Yeah, he's up there. For
He's
sure.
60?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
No, I think
That's even
so.
more impressive.
Like early 60s, maybe even.
My God.
Yeah. You should
I
ask
mean,
Siri.
I know, right? I'm like not in nearly as good of shape as Rob Zombie. That's definitely a thing.
I mean, for the sake of my buddies who love all things vampires, I would love to see my peeps in Vampires Everywhere playing on the Salem Vampire Fest.
Yes, we need to do Salem Vampire Fest. That needs to be a thing.
I wish Salem had some kind of venue where you could put something like that on. But
Yeah.
the town just doesn't.
Yeah.
There used to be some old theaters
Alice
back in the day. Those have since kind of been developed into other things, mostly parking garages and condominiums. but yeah, I mean, every time a building comes up for sale or for available, it's always one of those things where like, hey, I hope someone buys it, they can do something cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
From
But
your
it becomes more parking in condominiums. So
yeah, from your guys' experience, just out of my own curiosity, because I left Salem back in the 80s when my parents divorced and my mom got me and just traveled out to California at that time. With the legendary quad, of course, right by the Salem Witch Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Would the possibility of a stage I kind of figured that.
So
because
the hard
one thing I've always known about home, because that's still what I referred to it. Megan will tell you, like I'm very I love Salem so much. I'm very well versed on the aggression, which I love, of the Historical Preservation Society, and it's also a lot of homes in that area. So
Yeah.
I kind of saw your shaking of the head coming my way, but I
Yeah.
figured for the sake of the possibility of a Salem festival, maybe some I's could be dotted or T's crossed, but I definitely understand why they might not allow it.
So go ahead.
I was gonna say they've brought in stages into Salem Common before, but I mean a couple things have to happen. You literally have to go before the Salem Commons association, like all the neighbors around there, right? So you need their buy-in for whatever you're doing. You need the Parks and Rec, which now you've got to go through that whole thing where you have to make sure that the grounds are preserved and that you can't damage the turf and all this other
The
stuff.
ground is like a really big thing. Like the grass over there is so, I don't want to call it temperamental. I don't know anything about grass, but they protect that grass like nobody's business. And even when they have like the markets and stuff that are on there, they're not allowed to drive their cars on there. They're not allowed to like wheel certain weight of stuff over the lawn because it's like this stupid, I don't know, that grass is like more protected than anything else in the city.
But even on top of the all the red tape you'd have to go through, just looking at it from a pure event perspective, because it's an open air event, it would be extremely difficult to try to run any kind of profitable event or event that could just sustain itself out there, because how do you charge for tickets when it's open air? And so it becomes a little weird in that aspect too. But
without adding fencing and
all of that is, I mean, it's all doable. Like it's stuff that, I mean, Ben and I could tackle that with our capabilities. I mean, we've done crazier things, but it's just the location of it being in such a residential area, and then because it's so historic and protected, it's damn near impossible to do something like that.
I feel like you wouldn't get the buy-in from the association, from the neighbors. There's no way the neighbors would be like, "Yeah, bring in Rob Zombie and 69 Eyes."
Yeah.
Like the neighbors would be like, "What? No."
Yeah.
No, I definitely understand that.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Right back to Angel. Looks like we got some more fan questions. I love it.
Have you ever considered 3D printing merchandise?
So we work with a vendor who 3D prints some of our jewelry, which is really awesome. We've done 3D printing for some Christmas ornaments, holiday ornaments a few years back.
Did like little mini collectibles, little mini skulls.
We love 3D printing stuff. It's really cool. So to answer your question, yes, totally. We have thought of it and we've done it and we love it.
And we got Jay's other co-host, Ron.
From Vampire and Devil, Ron, you rock.
How was it working with great artists and great entertainers like Shelley, The Inferno, and Danny Devine? So
Shelley I'll speak with Shelley first. She is one of the sweetest and nicest people I've ever worked with ever. She is like this perfect figure of a human. And I was shooting with her, and I remember before that photo shoot, I think I had spent like every waking moment in the gym because I was so terrified to be next to this petite little perfect human being. And she showed up and I was so nervous to meet her, and she was just the nicest, most wonderful, fun human I have ever met ever. So Shelley is amazing. I know you had a similar experience with her. You loved her too.
Yeah, she was great. She was great to work with, both on a personal and professional level. And I mean, talk about a pro in front of the camera. I mean, she like
hits every shot. Like she just knows.
Snaps
it's almost
right
like this
to it.
Like perfect dance that she does. Like she's awesome. I hope to shoot with her again. She was so much fun. I had a blast.
I saw she took a step back from modeling and doing shoots and things like that. She was dealing with some health issues of her own. But I just saw that she is now officially back doing some shoots, and so she's had a couple of gigs, kind of getting back into the game. And so we actually reached out to her when we saw that she was back at it. You know, we kind of gone back and forth periodically while she was out, just kind of hello and just kind of niceties. But we're like, hey, if you're doing an East Coast run, make sure you get us on the list. Like, love to have you back for a day in the studio. You know, so definitely would love to get her back out here. She was tons of fun.
She was a blast.
Yeah.
And it looks like Danny as well. So Danny we've known for a really long time as well.
Yeah, we probably met her in the 2018, 2019 ballpark.
Yeah. And we see her a bunch. She's always at a bunch of the Endless Night events. We've done a lot of stuff with her over the years. She's great. It's Danny. I guess she's part of the family and the crew. So, and
she's done a ton of different stuff, ranging from just here in Salem, just at our events here. She's done everything from guest hostessing to she's performed up on the VIV floor as a private performance for the diamond ticket holders. She's been on the main stage twice. I think we've had her out on the main stage. So she's done every possible, kind of spot that you could do out here. Crowd favorite.
For sure.
Always get messages about her and takes a ton of photos. People always want to get in there. And the Salem cops also love her.
Oh my God.
So we get a funny story about that. So the first year that we did the ball here in Salem, because of the size of the crowd, the number of people that we have out here, we're required to have police detail. And you're supposed to have so many police for every X number of people. And so we put in for the appropriate number that we were supposed to have. But then it's up to the police department. The police department, whoever organizes the details, puts it out to the people that are on the force, and people have to take the detail. And so the first year we put it out there, and it just said, Endless Night Salem Vampire Ball. And we kind of feel like most cops that looked at the detail were like, oh yeah, Vampire Ball, ha ha ha, everyone get your bloody teeth and capes. They probably thought it was some kind of corny Halloween party. And so we had one cop take the detail. Now that one cop,
which was under what we were supposed to have.
We were supposed to have like 6.
Yeah, and it's
or
like
something like
it's
that.
like on them. Like if they don't show up,
it's on
show
them.
Up. And we hire our own security too, so like we really don't need them there. It's just a requirement. But we have like our own security team that does everything, so it's fine. But yeah.
But the cop was the cop that showed up to the ball to do the detail. He must have been messaging his buddies and his friends, like that are working on the job, that are on the force, because we turn around when Danny was on stage, and there was we went from having one cop that was there working. We had like 10 of them lined up against the back wall. All with jaws open, tongues hanging out. I was like, guys, are you working? Put your tongue back in your mouth. Good God.
I mean, if you guys have ever been to one of our events, you'll see Ben and I, and we're running 1,000 miles per hour. We barely ever stop to kind of look or do anything or see anything. And that was one of the moments where both of us at the same time turned around. And the entire back of the ballroom is just filled with police and fire detail. And I'm like, did something
we thought something happened.
I'm like, did something happen? And then I was like, oh my God, they're all watching Danny.
They're all here. Like, who's out there working, guys? Is anyone patrolling the streets anymore? No, they're all the vampire.
No, and then for like 2 weeks after, Ben and I would be walking through town, and like the cops, every time they drove by, they'd be like, hey guys, hey. And we're like,
but now, needless to say, we have no problem filling the details for the vampire balls.
Now they probably draw straws. But yeah, so Shelly and Danny are great, and I hope that answered your question. Yes, the blood shower. We would love to do a blood rave. There's a place out in Worcester who managed to do it, I think, in a parking lot. If we ever tried to do a blood rave in any of the historic venues in Salem, they would definitely kill us. Yeah. Especially the Hawthorne with their brand new carpets in there. They would. We have, we had just talked about Danny. We have to like tarp areas off for Danny when she performs, because she does a lot of stuff with fake blood and kind of gets it all over her and everything. So we are like making very, very sure nothing gets on the carpet or on the floors. But
I'm sure the cleaning crews in the hotels have a blast with that.
Yes, I'm sure. Like after
the bloody towels, what the hell? What happened in here?
Yeah. But as far as doing a blood rave, we would love to do a blood rave. I know Blade is like Ben's favorite movie, and
it's one of them I quite enjoy.
Yeah. So yeah, we would love to do that. If you can find us a venue, let us know. We are in, and we would love to do it, and we will make it happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick it right back up to Jay.
Absolutely, for sure. One thing that I didn't really touch on the next segment, but definitely kind of had my curiosities is I want to take it real quick back to Velvet and Vein because you had mentioned owning that space as well, and with the awesome story you told about securing your location for Vampfangs. How did you score your, for lack of a better term, sister store only 3 doors down from you?
So very sadly, it used to be a barber shop. Ben actually used to get his hair cut there when he was a kid. And so over time, somebody else took over the barber shop. And unfortunately, she had some health stuff and it took her away from the barbershop being opened. The owner of the barbershop decided to, because I think it was the original barbershop's or the barber's wife.
Yes.
Okay. So she put the unit up for sale. Ben walked by the window. I was actually in Vampfangs and he ran back over here and he's like, it's for sale. And I'm like, oh God, we have to buy it, right? I didn't know how we were going to do it.
Didn't know how we were going to do it, but we were going to do it.
I was like, but we can't. I mean, real estate in Salem does not exist.
Seriously.
Especially for purchase. Like it just doesn't. So Ben went back over, called the phone number, talked to the real estate agent, and
turned out it was actually my realtor.
It was Ben's realtor.
It was my realtor. It was the listing agent. I'm like, Jim, why didn't you tell me about this?
Yeah.
Come on, buddy. Way to look out for us.
Yeah.
I thought we were cool.
Right? I thought we were cool, man.
So within, I want to say, hours, we put an offer in. I think the sign went up and it was less than an hour that we had an offer in on it.
We already had we had verbals in already. Like we were trying to figure out how we can kind of make that deal work. We threw a couple of ideas out their way, a couple creative offers. Always trying to make things happen creatively, but she just wanted a more traditional sale, so she can kind of step back and just retire. So within 24 hours, we had an official offer in, signed and accepted. And that was kind of the process where it started. But there was, shit you not, Jay, there was a literal line of people in line to get that space.
We acted so fast on it. I mean, it was because it's just 2 doors down from us. Like I think
we just saw the sign first.
We just saw it faster than anybody else. So
sure.
This really funny thing when Ben and I start a new business and I go to Europe by accident. So
well, back up 1 second. When I say that there was a literal line of people, they were and good for them. Or it was definitely good on them. Even after it was under contract, which a lot of realtors will continue to do. They'll continue to show the space. They'll take backup offers. They'll, in case something happens, right? Because it's real estate, right? Anything can happen, right? Things fall apart all the time in real estate deals. And so they continue to show it. They continue to take offers. One day I happened to poke my head over there and look in the window, and the realtor was sitting in there with the previous owner, and she was signing the purchase and sale agreement, as the accepted,
our accepted offer,
our accepted offer, right? So we were already past the point of the offer, and we were to the point where it's like, all right, it's official now, this is a done deal. We just gotta, finish, doing the paperwork kind of thing. And so he comes out and he grabs it. Oh, just the guy I needed to see. And so he, outside the store, slaps the contract up on the building. It's like, yep, just sign right there. And so I sign right there. I turn around and there's literally 2 other business owners, local shop owners that were waiting to see that space with the agent. And they just watched me sign on it. And so I turn around and they just kind of mouth to me. They're like, did you get it? And I'm like, you knew it. Yeah. So, but yeah, there was a literal line of people who would have bought that space in a heartbeat.
Well, we weren't planning on, we mentioned when we got the space for Vampfangs, we mentioned that we weren't even really looking and it just kind of fell in our lap. So I had booked a trip to Ireland, obviously not knowing that we were going to be opening a brick and mortar store. So the 2 weeks before we opened the doors here at Vampfangs, I was in Ireland, working from Ireland on FaceTime with Ben, trying to figure out where stuff's going to go. And then the same thing happened with Velvet and Vein. I had booked a trip to Greece. So 2 weeks before we opened
Because we did it all so quick.
It was
between
just
the time
so
that we
fast.
between the time that we signed the lease here at Vampfangs and we opened our doors, we're
Mhm.
talking 2 months.
Right.
Like we spun the space so quickly, and it was almost exactly the same formula for Velvet and Vein. We bought the space in, I think we closed on it mid-June, I think,
Mhm.
and we opened early August. So I mean, super fast flipping spaces.
Yeah. And I like never go anywhere unless it's like we're traveling for endless night or like work or conventions or anything. So like the only 2 trips that I've taken that have been like personal relaxation times, I've left him here to open up 2 brand new businesses by himself. But
Well, I remember when you guys posted that you would set up like the socials for Velvet and Vein, and I went to the pages, and at the time, you only had like a small amount of follows because it was like brand new.
yeah.
You know, I think I was like number 12 or something, and that's just because I happened to pop up just to log on to like Facebook when you guys posted on Vampfangs, and that led me to then go like, you know, to go to IG and be like, well, do they have a, yes, they do, click, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely understand that. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And as like a follow-up kind of like fun question, you know, I showed you guys before we went on air, you know, how much Megan loves her wallet, and, you know, I still have the ring that I got from you guys when I you know, when we were there last time. The stuff that you carry for Avelina, was that an opportunity that came about because of your guys' relationship with Danny, since she has a line with her, or is that something else?
No. So how did the Evelina happen? Do you remember?
Well, so she knew us. She knew that Danny was a common connection, so that connection was definitely there. So I'm sure that helped, or that was somewhere in the equation, I'm sure. But she had reached out. She had reached out to us at Vampfangs like at least a couple years prior to that.
Oh, okay.
And said, hey, you know, I'd love to get some stuff in there, wholesale. You know, take a peek, let us know. And I mean, it's always with these small shops, it's always so hard, right? I mean, like what do you bring in, and you know, you can only bring in so much. But she also did there was a big write-up on her in Vampire Magazine as well. So the Vampire Magazine did a big feature on her.
Yeah.
And so she was definitely already kind of intertwined with the vampire community.
Was she in the issue that I was in, that I was on the cover of?
I'm not sure.
I feel like she was.
She may have been. She may have been.
I wonder if that was it too.
But so there was definitely several collections. I know Danny had probably mentioned our shop to her as well, because Danny had done some shooting here in the store as well, and obviously been at the ball.
You know why I'm chuckling right now.
Yeah, I do know why you're chuckling. I do know why
I'll
you're
let
chuckling.
you tell that story. Go ahead.
funny Danny story. So
Danny.
was it a couple years ago, right?
I think it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. So she'll just like reach out and be like, hey, you know, like while I'm in town, I'd love to do some shots over at Vampfangs. We'll just, you know, do some promo shots and stuff. And
I was like, yeah,
you know, back here in the chair, like in
right.
the throne and stuff like that. We're like, yeah, cool.
She's a friend of ours. We're like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, we don't care.
Pop through.
Right.
It's totally fine. And so I had assumed it was going to be like, you know, like Jay, like how you would, you know, you sit in the throne, you get to do the thing, right? You know, promo the show. And we had no idea until well afterwards when we actually saw some pictures coming out.
When she tagged us in the shots.
Like when she tagged us in the shots. But so she was in the back of Vampfangs here in the chair during open time with customers in the shop, back here wearing
basically nothing.
Hardly anything.
Yep.
Back here with a full-blown lingerie shoot, barely wearing it.
With the Danny look.
With the Danny look.
With the Danny
and
look.
we just, I mean, like I said, you know,
I saw the picture. I was like,
hey, can I take shots here? Can I do whatever? We're like, yeah, we don't even think of it. And then she tags us in it later, and I'm like, oh, you know, we'll message her, be like, oh, Danny, this looks great. Like, you know, good work.
I can only imagine, like, if you could have been a fly on the wall, dude. Like I can only imagine families maybe coming in, little kids are like, "Whoa, what is happening? I don't know, kid, close your eyes. You know what's happening back there?"
When I saw that shot, it was like, did you say that she could do this? Like when this,
She immediately said that to me.
I was
She's
like, was the store open
yeah,
during
the
this?
store was open.
Yeah, it totally was. And I was like, did you okay this? She's like, I didn't know she was going to be doing that. And I'm like,
I had no idea. How did I know?
hey,
Maybe I should have assumed as Danny. I don't know.
it's a free show.
Yeah.
Good times.
It's Vampire
Good
Store.
times. Anyways, we
Yeah.
got off topic.
Oh no, that's totally fine. Angel, do me a favor real quick, buddy. Make me the big picture. First of all, do you like my glass?
I was trying to peek at it and I could kind of see it. It's awesome. It's so much fun.
So I found this at Books A Million for what it's worth.
Oh my
I don't
God.
really
Oh, that's
know
fun.
where
Does
they're
it go
located.
into the wings?
Yeah.
No, like does the beverage go into the wings? Or
No.
does
Oh, it does. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It's just simply that
It's blown on.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
I see. Oh,
that
it's super cool.
that would be rad. But
It's really pretty.
yeah, but me, Megan, Ron's girlfriend, we all got together and we were in Books A Million because I mean I love books anyway. But I was we walked by it and Ron kind of looked at it, nudged me, and he showed it to me, and I literally was like, "Oh, you motherfucker, dude! Why?" Because he knows I don't have any self-control for vampy stuff, so it's like
Same.
I was like, I'm buying it. So yeah, so that's where I got it, and it's been my my wine glass ever since, and I love it.
Love it.
But also the reason I also wanted it to be the big picture is, Lex, funny you should bring that up.
That's my face.
And for the record, yes, she was.
She was. I thought so. Okay.
But no, but I again, I love all things vampy. I think everybody and their mother knows that. But I have multiple issues of Vampire Magazine. I love it. The interviews are great. Like we said before, I'm a big 69 Eyes fan. And they did an interview with Yerky in one of the in one of the issues, and I have that as well. So basically, the only reason I really kind of brought this out was was like how was the shoot that you did for it, and what do you remember about the interview about like Vampfangs in Salem, because it's really good, it's very in depth, and it's a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, the shooting for that was kind of nerve-wracking. So there's kind of this interesting balance of, do we show fangs? Do we not? Am I showing fangs in that shot? I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay. So it's always this kind of like, I don't think
it's your face.
That's my face. It's kind of, shooting with fangs in is probably one of the most difficult things that nobody really thinks about, because if you're shooting too wide, you look like you're going to eat somebody. And if you tilt your head back to show your fangs more, you're shooting up your nose. So it's definitely not the easiest thing to do. Some people just have a perfect face for shooting with fangs. I don't. So it took me quite a few shots and quite a few rounds to get that shot for the front. And it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. And the interview stuff was also really fun. It's one of the coolest things. We still have people bringing the magazine in the shop, and I sign them all the time for people, which is really fun. And people take pictures with me with the magazine. It's cool. It's a cool thing seeing yourself on a magazine. So
it's funny.
Sure. Was that I'm sorry. My apologies, Ben. Was that a shoot specifically for the magazine, Lex, or was that part of the Shelley stuff?
So that
It
was not with Shelley. So that was a separate shoot that was for the magazine, but then we wound up using some other shots from that set to do some promo stuff for the Endless Night here in Salem.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But the shots itself were for the magazine cover. What were you saying then?
I was going to say it's funny because I've been here on more than one occasion when a customer will want to get the magazine signed by her, and I say it's funny because they'll oh, Lex, and then be like, oh yeah, can you sign it too?
Yeah, because
right?
Ben's like
because I'm in there in like one of the spreads in there
Yeah.
for like the Vampfangs interview and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you too, I guess. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like yeah. I know, it's Lex, right? It's Lex you want. Yeah.
That's one of my funnest things when people come in and ask to have that signed, if they still have it, because I don't think we have any copies for sale anymore. It's kind of like a vintage thing now. But it was definitely like, still people come in now, and that was how long ago? 2 years ago,
At least.
I think.
Issue number 8. Not very date friendly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, for what it's worth, speaking of Danny, she's on the back cover, and it's for what it's worth, it's promoting the Endless Night LA Vampire Ball, February 20th, 2022.
Okay. Yeah. So it was
So
a few years ago.
that's probably in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
time
So it's
frame.
definitely, like I said, it's
About
weird.
3
Like
years
it's such a vintage piece now, and people still bring it in to get it signed. Or if they see me and they're like, "Hey, are you the one that's on the cover of Vampire Magazine?" I'm like, "Yes." And then my face is on some of the posters in town too, from the ball. So people do kind of recognize me all over, and they're like, "Hey, aren't you on the thing?" For a while, we had a huge one in the window, and I would walk by the front of the store, and people would be looking in the window, looking at the poster, and then they turn around and see me, and they're like, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
And
It's weird.
sure, no, I can definitely I can definitely imagine for that. One thing I wanted to ask about that's like a slightly sad topic that kind of morphs into like a new era is anybody who's familiar with just New England in general knows that weather is absolutely a factor. And I did want to ask you guys, because when Megan and I saw the post, we were like, oh my God, and we were so sad about it. But I kind of wanted to ask you guys about the sad death of the Vampfangs sign.
Oh gosh, yeah. So that we had, who told us about that? Was it somebody over? There's a Die With Your
One of the
Boots on,
local
I
shop.
think.
Yeah, it was one of the
And
shops.
they messaged us and they're like, "Hey, it was like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. They're like, "Hey, we just walked by your shop. We just want to let you know that your sign's on the ground in like 75 pieces."
It was a crazy windstorm.
It was
insane.
So
like that had been whipping. That had been whipping really hard to pull those brackets out of that sign.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
because I've seen your sign like both
Mhm.
then and now. I mean, you didn't cheap out on a sign. Like it was very secure.
Yes. Yeah, it was solid. It was carved. Like it was gorgeous. And it did fall and it sucked, but it did kind of allow us to revamp the sign. And now the logo that's on there is totally different. We kind of realized that it was kind of a blessing in disguise because we've changed so much since we opened the store that it was time to kind of get a new sign anyway. It kind of just, I felt like it happened for a reason, and it was time to kind of revamp it. See what I did there? I'm funny.
So now we've got two vintage signs in the shop.
We do.
We have the original wood hand painted sign from that was the custom Fang sign that used to hang outside of the Vampfangs tent whenever the original founder used to custom fit fangs like at fairs and festivals and things
The
like
Ren
that.
Fair sign.
It's like the Ren Fair sign. So we have that sign in here on display, and now we have the original Vampfangs brick and mortar sign here, that most recent one that was damaged in the wind. So now we've got kind of two artifacts in here, two museum pieces in here.
Actually, we have another one. So we also have the original owner, when we purchased the company, gave us his old license plates. Like they're long expired, we couldn't use them, but it's
right by the register.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
those are originally were on one of his cars, and then a few years ago I had a Camaro that I loved, and I had Vampire on the Camaro as well. So I need to hang that in here too, on the wall next to that. I no longer that one's no longer with us either, but that's okay.
Have you with Dark Alchemy with the clothing line, you guys had a t-shirt with the crow on the skull logo. I would know, it's in my closet.
Yes.
Are there any thoughts to doing an updated Vampfangs sign t-shirt?
That's in the works. So we actually just redesigned completely our new website. So if you go on vampfangs.com right now, it will look totally different. So we are adding our apparel in literally this week as we speak. So the site just went live. The new site just went live last week. We have not announced anything yet because we want to make sure that it's definitely perfect. Yeah. But it's definitely perfect now. We're just still adding more products. So that shirt is going to be on there, I'd say, by Monday.
Great. You'll see my name again.
Awesome.
No, absolutely, for sure. Angel, my man, let's kick it back to you again.
Without giving away too many details, with all the events happening this year, can we expect more events in 2026 with the success that you've been having?
For sure. Hammond Castle will be back in 2026, I assume. Is that a good assumption? It's a good assumption.
It's one of our most
Yeah.
requested events.
Yeah.
One of our most requested venues. So
And then
Hammond will be back for sure.
For sure, that epic giant thing that we've been talking about will definitely be happening in September next year as well. So that'll be a thing.
And of course, I mean, LA will still be happening in February.
Yes, all of those are definitely.
My guess is Vegas will be back again in May.
Yep. Tampa in June. And then, of course, New Orleans in October.
And then of course, ours in September.
I mentioned that first.
In Salem.
Benjamin, you're done. You're done.
Big stuff coming, guys.
Just kind of curious to know, what's the farthest that anybody has traveled for one of your events?
So farthest, every year we have people come from all over the world. I know Hammond Castle last year, we had somebody from Spain that visited. But I'd say every single event that we have, there's people from literally all over Australia.
People from
UK.
Europe and Canada all the time, constantly. Even for some of our smaller events, which normally smaller events like salons. Salons are usually regional events, so you'll see a lot of really local traffic. But our salons up here, the ones that we produce in Salem and kind of outside of Salem,
in New England,
it's not common. It's not common to see salons draw people from all over the country or all over the world. But
yeah.
But the ones up here do, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we just love bougie events.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any standouts as far as distance
how
traveled.
long people traveled.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything.
I know we drew from 42 states.
That's a definite, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as outside of the country, it's definitely, I'd say probably Australia. That's pretty far from here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question from Ron.
Oh, Ron, you devil.
When
they kill you, I will not be held responsible.
I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Ron, what the hell? Oh God.
Yeah. Well, so the speed version is, of course, my buddy Ron. You've been to your shop with me. He's my co-host of the Vampire and Devil podcast. He is the devil of that show, and he feels that there's too many. He feels outnumbered.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I got something for you, Ron.
Oh boy.
I'm going to say Twilight. And I'm going to say Twilight because the official vampire movie, because those motherfuckers didn't have fangs.
That's true.
And what's the easiest way to make people drop their guard and underestimate the power of vampires, but to show them some sparkly, twinkly motherfuckers with no fangs? So put it on out there.
I have a love-hate relationship with that movie. And I don't know how to feel about it. And I feel like no matter what side I take on it, somebody's pissed off because there's all of these crazy Twilight fans. And then there's all these people that are it's the worst movie that was ever made on the planet.
Vampires have fangs. I'm sorry.
There's no winning.
Vampires
there's no winning. There is no winning. So I'm going to get a lot of shit for it. But the answer is I'm pleading the fifth.
Oh, man, I can't believe I just said I'd rather have Twilight be the official vampire movie.
I'm just over here in my little bubble chair. I can't hear you.
Oh God, that was painful, Ron. That was painful.
Actually, speaking of vampire stuff, I think that you could make an announcement about merch if you'd like.
Oh yeah, I suppose I could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
We need to put a smile back on Ben's face.
nice.
Yes.
Hell yeah. And probably the most feared vampire hunter.
Yes.
Um,
So you can spill. I'll let you spill this one.
so we've wanted to do something fun for the last several years, and this year it's actually going to come to fruition. So I mean, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I know a lot of people are basketball fans.
I am not.
I know that sometimes even people that aren't basketball fans are familiar with March Madness. Everyone, unless you live under a rock, you've heard the term March Madness. You know that there's a massive basketball tournament that happens in March. So this year, we're actually going to have a Vamp Madness tournament where there are 64 individual vampires broken up into 4 clans, because 4 regions typically you'd have with the NCAA brackets. It's a single elimination, and we basically have 16 vampires in each clan. All these 16 vampires are seeded 1 through 16, and it's going to follow the March Madness schedule. You're going to be able to go on to vampfangs.com, onto the tournament page. You're going to be able to put in your predictions and create your bracket. Once the tournament kicks off, you're actually going to be able to go in there and vote for the winner of every single individual match. And the winners will advance to the next round. And we'll go to the Immortal 8 down to the Chosen 4. And then we'll have the championship all the way down. And the person who hits highest success rate with their predictions will win a pair of event tickets for the entire year. Wow. So we're going to put a nice prize out there as well.
So it'll be every New England event that we run. So
yep.
It's 2 pairs.
All of our vampire lounges, our salon, our ball, whatever we got going on that year on our calendar.
For a calendar year. And so it'll be the first person who alerts us that they won. So I'm sure I don't know. I don't do sports. Go sports. Like I don't understand it at all.
The software keeps track of it all.
Yeah.
So the software knows who's got the highest win percentage and everything else.
I know nothing about sports, but this just sounded so nerdy and awesome. I was definitely on board with doing this because it's so much fun. So it's going to be kind of like crowd done. So in order to figure out who kind of wins the battle, it's going to be
vote.
An Instagram vote. So
no. They vote. They
vote on the.
They vote directly on the website.
This is so fun.
There's not even any Instagram.
I'm learning about this. Yeah. So he pitched this whole idea to me, and I'm like, I don't understand sports, like I just mentioned. I don't understand brackets. I know nothing about this, but I know vampires and I know pop culture, movie, everything, and I'm into.
Ron. Ron, I know you're still listening, right? But just imagine for a minute, after me proclaiming that Twilight is now the official vampire movie,
which is,
imagine watching Akasha square off against Edward Cullen and seeing Edward Cullen get the shit kicked out of him by Akasha. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about.
Yeah, see, I can get down with that.
Right? It's awesome.
Could you imagine if we could find a way to actually also broadcast this like celebrity deathmatch style, like the claymation vampires just taking each other out? But I will say though, Ben and Lex, the one that is actually something I did want to clarify that you kind of clarified for us just now was this a, Vampire Madness of pop culture vampires, or were you looking for vampire personalities that would come in?
Nope. So this is so there's 4 here. I'll let you explain because you'll do it better than me. But there's like 4 different.
So there's 4 different clans. So we have the aristocrats, we've got the rebels, we've got the legends, and we've got the beasts. And each of the different 64 vampires kind of will fall into one of those categories. So you'd expect to see someone like Lestat, Louis, Akasha. You'd find those in the aristocrats. Mm-hmm. Someone like Celine or Blade, you'd very likely find them in the rebels. Over on the beasts, you'd find some of your very classic monsters, right? So
like Abigail's in there too. Which did you see that movie?
Yes.
The Abigail movie. Oh God, it was so good. Sorry.
Loved it. Yeah. We Ron and I did our we did a a best of 2024 episode where we picked 10 movies that came out in 2024. We let the Fangs all vote on what 5 movies they wanted us to talk about, and Abigail was the movie that I submitted as part of one of the 10, and it was picked by the Fangs to talk about. And I thought that movie was absolutely fantastic. I've got the movie. They made a Funko Pop of it, and I had to have it.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Nice.
And should be kicking off.
Early March, you're going to see some announcements rolling out about that.
So that'll be like next week.
Yeah, I'm just getting everything loaded up and get everything put together. But Vamp Madness.
Yeah.
Vamp Madness 2025.
Been working on this one for quite a while, so it's going to be pretty cool. It'll be fun.
Right on, man.
And we love giving stuff away too, and that's my jam. So Ben gets mad at me because I give too much away all the time. I'm like, let's give away tickets. Let's do it again.
That's all right.
It's the payment for not letting him talk about things he's not allowed to talk about.
It's true.
Right back to you, Angel.
I'm gonna do my question, then I'm gonna do Ron's question. Just kind of curious to know, how do you feel about The Lost Boys being turned into a musical?
I absolutely hate that idea. I want to love that idea because I like anytime that any vampire stuff comes into kind of the light again. That was kind of a bad joke, but I don't like that idea at all. What do you think about that?
While it may not personally be my jam, I always think that in a lot of instances, any exposure is good exposure. And
Sure.
if it means Lost Boys is a musical and that's going to be someone's first introduction into something really cool, then they're going to end up deep diving and finding their own rabbit hole and winding up into some actually cool stuff. I'm okay with it. Don't
get me wrong. I want to go.
But I came up on that movie. That's one of my like OG. Like
Same.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely love The Lost Boys, and so it is going to pain me to see people breaking out in song. You know,
I'll say for what it's worth, I'm down for the cause because G. Tom Mack is spearheading it, and while G. Tom Mack isn't exactly one of us, like. It's G. Tom Mack, it's Cry Little Sister, and he's very involved in this. And that's kind of the reason why I'm kind of down for the cause and kind of excited because I like horror musicals.
Mm-hmm.
I do, but I'm definitely with you guys where it's a movie I very, very much cherish.
yeah.
And so there's a part of me that's kind of like, okay. But G has been very involved for a while now that I'm willing to commit.
I want to see it for sure. I can't promise that I'm going to love it, but if it's done right, it actually could have potential. I mean, if G Tom's doing it, then maybe it'll be good. Maybe.
I'm all for anything that'll bring people into the fold, right? And brings vampires to the surface. In pop culture, period. I mean, even as much as I can't stand Twilight, if that's people's first entry into the vampire world, then so be it, right? They'll find other stuff.
They can only go up.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes. That's exactly. Right. But if that's the thing that kind of brings them in, so be it. Right. Like it's a big enough vampire world for everyone to coexist.
And since we're on that topic, here's Ron's question: Lost Boys or Bela Lugosi Dracula?
Oh man. It's hard because they're both classic in their own rights. As far as who I personally like, what I connected more with, I mean, I'd say Lost Boys probably because of the time that I saw the Lost Boys. That was about the age. I was about the age of the Frog Brothers when I saw that for the first time. And I think that I connected really well with that movie, and it kind of brought the sexy allure of the vampire to me. But then as I got older and I saw Bela Lugosi as an older vampire, I appreciate it and kind of just think of how beautiful it is. So I can't answer. I'm sorry. Ben?
I mean,
I know you love Lost Boys.
I know. I love Lost Boys. It's just the rebel in me. I
know.
I can't pull it apart. While I do appreciate dapper, refined, aristocratic, there's just something about a rebellious vampire. I don't know, like this. I feel like that's why I love Celine and Blade. And I don't know. I just like I just like anarchist vampires. It's just like
I'm an aristocrat kind of lady. But.
So again, I mean, well, damn, can we spend almost an hour and a half?
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick it right back up to Jay.
No, for sure. Absolutely. I got a couple of like fun things for us to rock out about, but also at the same time, Fangs, I do want to be very respectful, of course, of Ben and Lex's time and their evening. You know, they've given us pretty much free range of their schedule, but we do want to keep that into consideration. So we're going to rock out with them for a little bit longer and keep having a good time. But at the same time, guys, it is going to be last call for alcohol. So any final questions, comments, anything that you guys want to ask them about their businesses, the events that they're putting on, or just fun things like movies, get them into the comments now. Angel and I always clear the board, but this is the time to get those questions in. So it is last call for alcohol. So I did want to ask you guys kind of like a little bit of like fun things about like movies, a little bit more like kind of like newer school kind of thing. And one of the movies I've been talking about a lot, and it's funny too because we talked about Avelina, who did a collaboration with the vampire Jack Townsend, and he and I had this conversation about movies as well. Did you guys see the movie The Invitation?
Oh gosh, The Invitation.
I did.
No worries. It came out probably about 3 years ago. So
Okay.
it's what I really, so basically the speed version is this this girl's living in New York. You know, her mother's unfortunately since passed. She's just kind of working as a waitress, and she ends up doing a DNA. She doesn't really have a lot of family, if any. So she just kind of does a DNA test just kind of as a thing. And she ends up finding out that she has family in like England. One of her relatives is coming to town, wanted to meet with her, and they talk her into going to England as this guest of this very like posh, pinky out aristocratic wedding that turns out to be a vampire wedding.
I did see this movie. Keep
Yeah.
going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, totally. And I was just kind of curious what you thought about it. Like me personally, I loved 95% of this movie. I thought it was an excellent modern day take on that classic aristocratic, like posh vampire. I just really didn't love the ending of the movie. I felt that, without giving it away to people who haven't seen it, I felt the victor of the final battle won it way too easily in almost a laughable way, that it really bummed me out at the end of that movie. But I do love the movie overall with the way it was designed as that kind of modern take on classic. I was just always kind of curious if you guys had seen that and what you thought.
I kind of had a similar feeling about the ending. I feel like they could have done much better. It's almost like they ran out of time and they were just like, okay, and done, and we'll leave it at that. And like, I hate when movies do that because it doesn't give any kind of, it's almost like you don't get the closure that you want. And I felt that kind of the exact same way. I thought that it was really well done. I really liked how everything just kind of, it was almost, I don't want to compare it to Shyamalan because that's not even a fair comparison, but it was almost like you didn't know that this was going to become that. And it was just really kind of beautiful that way.
For sure. Did you guys see and like or dislike Renfield with Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult?
I'm probably going to get shit for this, but I hated it. I really did. Yeah, I know. It just
no, it's cool. Like I truly do respect it. I really enjoyed it myself, but I also have a certain softness for I'm a big Trauma fan and a big Full Moon fan, and I love Subspecies. So I have a soft spot for like that kind of comedy, and I think that's why it worked for me. But no, please continue.
It felt kind of comic booky, and it just didn't. I was not expecting it from base. I think I had different expectations from all of the trailers and all of like the like media hype around it. And I think when it came, it was so overhyped, and I was so excited to see it. It was just like this. I don't know. I was so upset about it.
I mean, there was a lot of blood.
There was so much blood, and I love that.
I mean,
I absolutely love that. But it took me probably like 3 times to watch the movie to get through it because I was getting so annoyed with it that I kept shutting it off and then had to go back to it. But again, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for it because so many people love that movie, yourself included. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It's was not my favorite movie at all. I wanted it to be so very much. I really did. But it just...
Totally. One movie that Megan and I love to death, we were talking about it today. I think it's so fun on every level personally. Have you guys ever seen the movie Suck?
Context, tell me.
It's about a band, like just a failing band that their bass player gets turned into a vampire. It's a comedy movie. It stars like Alice Cooper, Dimitri Coates from Burning Brides. It's this comedy movie about this band that tries to make it, but they've got these classic vampire characters that they also tweak with like hard rock. So Malcolm McDowell plays Van Helsing, but he goes by the name Edward Van Helsing instead of Eddie Van Halen. So
I'll have to check it out. That sounds like fun.
It's a lot of fun. We really love that movie. And I can imagine you probably knew I was going to go this direction, just judging by the segment. What do we have to say about Nosferatu?
That was another movie that took me twice to watch through. The first time I watched it, when I pick up my phone when I'm watching a movie and I'm not paying attention to the movie, I know something's wrong. And
Fair enough.
It took me twice to watch it. However, the second time I watched it, I appreciated the cinematography much, much more because I actually was paying attention. I think because I mentally removed myself the first time I watched it, that I wasn't able to kind of see how beautiful it actually is. The ending I thought was really, really well done. But again, it was one of those movies where I wish they wouldn't, and I know they have to, but I wish they wouldn't spend so much money kind of hyping everything up so much, because you get these kind of unrealistic, weird expectations. And then everybody talks about it like it's the most amazing thing ever. And then you don't actually get to form your own opinion about it. So I try and like hide when new movies come out so I don't get but it's hard. But what did you think of it?
Well, like for me, I'm circle/trailers. I don't watch trailers. I don't read anything because exactly what you said, everybody screws it up. So here's the thing. That I love Robert Eggers' work. It's very my style. I loved the movie. I gave it a solid 8 out of 10. I really did enjoy it. Megan, not so much. That is not her jam. That is not her style. She's like, babe, at best, this movie's a 6. My thing is I love the way it's shot. I love Robert's vision when it comes to things. I love Willem Dafoe. I mean, the man can do no wrong. I can't not talk about this for a moment. So the look of Nosferatu, here's the thing. I appreciate Robert's vision. I loved the nod back to Vlad Dracul. Of course, that's where Nosferatu's from. I loved the hands. I thought it was great. My biggest problem, though, honestly, was the head when it came to a lot of people kind of criticizing it. Because here's the thing. Like I said, I'm very pro individual people's vision. You know, The Lost Boys does not look like 30 Days of Night. It doesn't look like Renfield. It doesn't look like Bela Lugosi, so on and so forth. So I can appreciate that. The one vampire in my opinion, the world history of cinema that's always been assigned to a very specific look that isn't detoured very much is Nosferatu. Whether you're looking at Nosferatu in 1922, you know, or with Klaus in 79, or even with Salem's Lot from Stephen King, it's very specific. So while I didn't hate the mustache reference, it was out of place and I didn't want it there for that specific character. Same with kind of the unique World War II hairstyle and whatnot. I'm just like, again, love the hands, love the imagery, but the ears, the face, the head.
It was a fail.
The teeth, it was a fail because it's the only vampire that I feel safe saying is universally agreed upon, that there is only one look for it and can only be one look for it. And Nosferatu actually is my overall favorite vampire. So while I did love the movie and I thought it was beautiful, that's not a move that I would have made.
Same. Like I said, it's when I first started watching it, I was looking down at my phone so much that I missed a lot of the kind of beautiful stuff. And the second time around that I watched it, that was something that also stuck out to me. And I was kind of like, why did he do this? And I still don't know why he did it. And I don't know if it was just to be different or just to give his take on it. But you can't really have, in my opinion, I don't think that you can really have a different take on something that's already been established.
Yes.
So it's just been established for too long. I mean, the original Nosferatu came out when
1922.
Yeah. Like, how do you change that? I mean, it's been done so many times, like you said. So I don't understand why he did it, but the other stuff was really pretty. It was a nice film. I'm gonna leave it at that. It was a nice little film.
And like a fun final movie for this segment, because it's Megan and I love it so much. We watch it all the time, and for us, it's just a very, very good time. As far as comedy parody movies, have you ever seen, and what do you think of Dracula Dead and Loving It?
That movie is so silly.
All right.
Have you seen that movie?
I don't think I have.
Oh my God, it's so very silly. I love it because it's so silly. Like I think there's like silly vampire movies, and then there's serious vampire movies, and then there's Renfield right in the middle that I can't figure out what the hell it's supposed to be. So that's why I think I didn't love it. So, but that movie was really funny.
No, for sure. It definitely is. Absolutely. Yeah. When we, we're early enough right now, taking it out of movies and kind of back to reality. It's early enough right now in 2025. And of course, we've had all these amazing announcements so far when it comes to Endless Nights. And you've got, Vampfangs, of course, still going strong. And now the addition of Velvet and Vein. What would you say would be your current goals for 2025? And then, of course, leading into what you've hinted at, your big plans are for 2026. But overall, what would you love to be able to give everybody in 2025? And also, what would you love to get in return?
Oh my gosh. You want to try that one?
My apologies. It is a tricky.
No, that's a good one.
Way. Well, I mean, as wild as it sounds, I just want to stabilize. I just want to stabilize in 2025.
We've been doing so much.
It's since Lex and I bought Vampfangs in 2017. I think that we've been trying to get our firm footing kind of underneath us, right, and to get like solidly established here, and we just haven't stopped.
We've been in such growth mode.
So we bought Vampfangs in 2017, opened the store here in 2018. 2019, we got the franchise for Endless Night. We started producing events. 2020, COVID happened. All shit broke loose. Continued with the events after that. We had some additional space. We were making some moves over in the psychic area for a little while, in the magic space. And then we thought, we still got our warehouse and e-com happening, so that's still in a whirlwind. And just when we thought we were like, all right, we can pause and we can breathe, and then Velvet and Vein happened, and now here we are again, right? And so I think that every time that Lex and I try to really look within, something else happens, some other opportunity, and not that I ever want opportunity to stop coming our way, but I want 2025 to be a stop and breathe and stabilize and really, we want to be able to give Vampfangs retail location a much needed makeover.
Yeah, she needs a little facelift.
Attention that the space really needs in here. I think that this year, Lex and I, we've got a great team with the local events here. We've got a great team both at Vampfangs and at Velvet and Vein. I think we're trying to take this opportunity to put some of our own love, attention, and energy back into the spaces that we've created. I think that that's really where I'm looking to to put this in 2025.
Yeah, I think for 2025, I really want to, and I think we have, especially in the event front, we've kind of created something for everybody. Where and you know, different kinds of events throughout the year, I think, are definitely something that we're doing, and I'm glad that we're doing it because it's giving people opportunity to kind of get their foot in the door with us. So I'm really excited about that. But to not burst Ben's bubble a little bit.
Oh, Jesus.
We're never going to stop. We're never going to sit still. And it's just always going to keep doing this because he's right. Every single time we try and say like, okay, we're going to breathe and we're going to, you know, take a break and kind of just reassess and like see what needs our attention. We wind up, something falls in our lap and it just creates this amazing opportunity for us. So I know that that's going to keep happening to us. It happens every year. It's happened every year since Ben and I started working together, and it's just going to keep happening. So I hope that we get a break, but I can't promise anything because it's just the way that it goes around here.
Well, I mean, as it stands now, with even with all the events that we do, right? So in addition to all the endless night events that we do, being the salons and then our large scale event in September with the ball, we also do a monthly event called the Vampire Lounge. Yes. which is just our once a month super casual event. You know, cash bar, DJ, lighting, sound, $20 cover, you know, come out and party and have a good time. It's the third Saturday of every month. So in addition to all the other stuff we do, we're running that once a month. And so we're, you know, I think that on the event front, I think we've created as many spaces as we can possibly create right now. And so I think just,
you think that, but we'll come up with something.
I mean, we're doing a lot.
I know we are. I know. Both of us, I think, long story short, both of us have been running 1,000 miles per hour for a really long time. So I think this year our plan is to kind of just, we could jog a little and see how things go.
I want to put some love back into the stores.
For our customers
revamp,
too.
refresh.
Yeah, I want them to have new stuff to look at.
It's time to put another layer of Gothic and Vampfangs. Mm-hmm. Now that we've kind of, you know, we've been talking about doing a lot of scenic stuff in here for a couple of years, and actually we were getting ready for a renovation in Vampfangs. We were calling it Vampfangs 2.0. It was going to get a full paint job. We were going to do some we were going to do a full lighting overhaul in here. We were going to do some other scenic
some
design,
fun, like scenic design with like some vines and stuff crashing through the ceiling and a whole lot of stuff.
But, and then Velvet in Vain happened. So that's what I mean, Jay. Like it's like.
And that Velvet in Vain was, you know, I mentioned that I was in Greece for 2 weeks, but you know, when I came back, it was like foot pedal to the floor, and that place was such a mess, and we worked in there tirelessly 7 days a week trying to get that open, and it was really exhausting, and I'm glad that we did it, and I'm glad that we were able to salvage as much cool stuff in there that we did, but that place was a bit of a mess, so it took a lot of our time, and it took time away from Vampfangs. So now we're able to get back into Vampfangs and do that project, all those projects that we wanted to do.
I'm excited for it.
Just out of curiosity, Megan and I are also a big fan of Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery, and we love Cliff. They've always been so genuine to us, and we always, you know, like your store, that is a frequent stop for us every time that we're in town. And we have also done, which a lot of people might not know about, is we've done their secret tour that they do, and there is, of course, a storage room, large areas of former displays, other displays that they are working on, but also ones that they've either retired or updated, some of which I do happen to know to be vampires that used to be up in the museum and are no longer there. So have you guys ever thought, or have you been in contact to maybe not necessarily buy, but potentially relocate a vampire that they are not using on display to your store as a showpiece? I know space is limited.
Yeah, because our stores are so small. I mean, every square inch in here matters. So I don't know where we would put anything, but I will say that some of the vampire stuff that is in Count Orlok's downstairs that you saw actually came from us. So, yeah.
Okay. never mind then.
Yeah.
They came. It wasn't the other way around. They came to you.
Yeah.
No, not so much on the statue side.
Nope.
Or on the wax figure side. But there may have been some vampire hunting implements
Okay.
that you may have seen down in one of the rooms he had there.
Nice.
And so those actually came from a museum space that we were operating.
Yeah. Because we didn't have enough to do, so we had a museum for a while too,
Yeah.
called Exhibit V.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
so
love
we had
it.
that for a while. So some of the artifacts that we had in there actually did go over to James. So
Oh, very cool. Megan got me this bitchin' vampire killing, like vintage vampire killing kit for Christmas this year. It was so
Nice.
awesome. It's sitting on my my coffee table at the moment here in the living room. But Angel, let me kick it over to you, my friend, as we go around the table a final time before we allow Ben and Lex to enjoy the rest of their evening.
Now here's Ron's prediction.
Oh, near dark.
strange. Jesse is actually in there, I believe. Is that
He
correct?
is. Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah.
He's in there. We'll make sure that the links and the sign up links and stuff like that get out. So just to make sure Ron sees that, so he can get his predictions in. But
Absolutely.
but the way that it's sizing up, if he's looking for Jesse Hooker to run that bracket, he'll be able to put him in all the way through and then pick the winners of the other matches. And he may be winning the event tickets all next year.
Right on. Ron, I booked this interview. You found out about this because of me. You win. I'm your +1.
No, you win. I'm one.
Oh, fair enough. No, you know what? That's absolutely fair. I will say, Angel, Megan might have something to say about that.
Well, we'll just-
Keep rolling with it, my good man.
well, you actually answered my question about anything that you have coming up with the store and everything. So you actually answered that question for me. And, just want to thank you for spending, almost 2 hours of your evening with us. We really appreciate it.
This was a blast. Thank you, guys.
No, absolutely, for sure. Ben and Lex, the biggest thing, of course, that matters first and foremost to myself and Angel, and we find it very important to let our guests know and let you guys know, is that, our big thing with you coming on the show is that you had a good time. Most importantly, you felt respected, you enjoyed your time, and that you also felt that this in any way, shape, or form was beneficial to yourselves and the continued success of your businesses.
Thank you so much. This was great. I had fun.
Yeah, always.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. We definitely look forward to having you on in the future if everything shapes up well for future events, and also would love to be in touch with you for the side horror show to have a little bit more fun when it comes to movies and pop culture and stuff like that in the vampire and devil world. But again, first and foremost, Ben, Lex, thank you guys so very much for giving us 2 hours of your evening, and best of luck with Vampfangs, the upcoming, endless nights in Salem's. And I can't wait to see you guys again at Hammond Castle. And I really, really appreciate your courtesies as well and everything. And, very grateful that you had a great time.
Thank you
Of course.
so much.
Thanks so much, guys.
Absolutely. Well, you have yourselves a great evening. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. Fangs, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys were absolutely awesome tonight. You were totally on fire, and we really appreciate you guys supporting Ben and Lex, Vampfangs, Velvet and Vein, and Endless Night. So make sure that you're following them on all of their socials. Vampfangs, Velvet and Vein, they've got socials available. Ben and Lex, actually, let me kick it back to you for a moment, that if there's any other socials, of course, to put on everybody's radar, we would definitely love to hear them, as well as websites, of course.
Oh God, the list of socials is huge, but the portal would just be the websites. So vampfangs.com and velvetandvein.com. From there, you can always link through all the socials, but I think Vampfangs has maybe 7 or 8 social handles right now, and I can't even remember them all.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But we're out there.
We're there.
Absolutely. But I also can confirm for you, Metal Summoners, Fangs, that if you're interested in Endless Night events that Ben and Lex are involved in, they do have an events page for ticket sales on their website. So you definitely can go to vampfangs.com to be able to get linked up with wherever you need to go to join any of those events. So I can definitely confirm that is absolutely a thing. But make sure you guys are following them on all of their socials. You can follow Angel Alamo at Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram, as well as his Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Salem.vampire, and you can also find me on Facebook as well. By all means, friends, please follow us. Follow the Metal Summit on Facebook and YouTube. That's where the interviews are happening. That's where you're watching Ben and Lex as we speak. But also you can follow us on Instagram. That is where the guest announcements come out first. So by following us on our socials, you're always going to be up to date on everything that we're doing. You're going to be able to follow Angel and myself at all of the various events that we're doing. Myself and Angel will be in Columbia, Maryland in early May for the M3 Festival. I'll be at Hammond Castle at the end of May. And then, of course, my partner in crime for Vampire and Devil, Ron, was prominent on this episode, and he and I will be available and able to hang out with at both New Jersey HorrorCon this weekend, Creature Feature at the end of this weekend, and of course, myself and Angel will be in Nashville mid-April for Rockin' Pod, where you just got announced for that officially, and we'd love all of you guys to be able to come out and party with us and have a good time. But again, thank you guys all so much. On behalf of Ben and Lex and Vampfangs, we thank them very much for time this evening. And on behalf of Angel and myself, thank you guys so much. You guys have yourselves a great evening. We're getting our final confirmations on next week's episode for our 5-year anniversary of this show. Metal Summoners, you guys made it happen. We really, really appreciate you guys. You know, Angel and I can talk music all night long, just as ourselves. But the fact that we get to do the show for 5 years now is literally all because of you guys. So the guest announcement for our anniversary show will be officially put out over the weekend, and we look forward to seeing you guys in a week to celebrate. You guys take care. Have a great weekend. Horns up, fangs out, flutter all over the place, and show off your fangs. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Lex. You guys have a great one. And all of you guys, as always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.